5 videos you need to watch to stop smoking, start vaping, and stay healthy. Welcome to Montauk Vapes, the channel for those of you who are looking for a safer alternative to smoking, or those of you just getting started with vaping and are confused about all the different devices and the terminology that's out there and that new vapers kind of struggle with. I'm Jay, and I've been an educator for over 30 years. I've also been a smoker for over 40 years, and I just quit. We highly recommend that you review all prior videos in this series to get the best experience. Okay, so in the previous video we talked about the types of mods, and in the one before that we talked about pod systems. So now we're going to talk about what you put into them, which is the e-liquid, or more commonly referred to as e-juice. So what is e-liquid? Well, it's a combination of elements. It's actually a blend of 4 things. The first being vegetable glycerin, or VG, and propylene glycol, PG, also obviously nicotine, and then a flavoring. So those are the 4 things that pretty much compose e-liquid. So when we talk about VG and PG, which are the 2 terms that you'll hear and that you'll see on all the bottles, that's the most important thing that you should start focusing on initially. And then obviously you'll start to focus on the nicotine levels as well as the flavoring. So when we're talking about flavoring, let's put that up first because that's the most fun thing to talk about. There are roughly 9,000 different flavors out there from a multitude of different manufacturers. And they generally fall into a couple of categories. First, and probably the most popular, are the fruit flavors. Everything from cherry and apple to berries and watermelon. Then you get the tobacco flavors, and the tobacco flavors will kind of go anywhere from your strong Marlboro type of tobacco to some various elements of lower nicotine type flavored tobaccos. Then you get into your whole range of menthol, which you'll generally see referred to as mint or cool menthol. And finally, the dessert flavors. And there are thousands of different dessert flavors, from apple crumb cake and pies to all kinds of sweet, bubbly types of dessert flavors that you would pretty much find maybe on ice cream. So from the flavors, we move on to the nicotine levels. And right now, we're going to kind of focus on what's called, regular or free-base nicotine, which is what most of the, if not all, of the mod systems use. And when we're talking about regular e-juice, we're talking about generally nicotine levels that go from anywhere from 0 milligrams, which is just basically flavoring, all the way up to 18 or even 24 milligrams, which is pretty powerful. If you want to do an analogy to cigarettes, probably a low tar nicotine cigarette would be anywhere from 5 to 7 milligrams, maybe less, to a Marlboro that probably goes into the double digits easily. So that's kind of an understanding of the basic free-base nicotine e-liquids. And we'll talk in a few moments about what we'll call the nic salts. But when we're talking about the general common e-liquid, we're looking at the combination of vegetable glycerin to propylene glycol, or VG to PG. So what's the benefit of a higher VG level? Well, higher VG level e-liquids generally have a thicker consistency, which gives you a smoother throat hit and larger clouds. And when you see people vaping and you see these massive clouds, that means probably their e-juice has a higher VG level. When it comes to propylene glycol or PG levels, the higher PG level is generally a thinner liquid. Also a strong throat hit, but since it's thinner, it makes it easier to clean up when you're cleaning your tanks and your coils. So, where do I start? I generally recommend pretty much half and half. A 50% VG and a 50% PG level. It's not something that is critical at this point. Obviously, the nicotine level and the flavoring is what's going to really make the difference and what you're going to find you really enjoy and you really like about vaping. So my advice is focus on the nicotine level, focus on the flavoring, and just start experimenting. Now, let's take a look at the other kind of e-juice, which is most frequently used in the pod systems and is referred to as nicotine salts. And without getting into too much detail, pretty much keep in mind that the nic salts are used for most pod systems, and they are a little bit more expensive, but they do give a nice smooth hit. And the primary difference you'll see is in the nicotine level, where since it's concentrated, you'll see nicotine levels on the bottles that say anywhere from 25 to 50 milligrams. Don't get confused about that. The actual nicotine level as compared to cigarettes is probably closer to 4 to 5 milligrams. So you are going to get a smoother hit. You're going to get some good flavor out of it. But again, it's mostly for pod systems and mostly mouth to lung as opposed to direct to lung. So it's just kind of an alternative that you have to think about when you're using pod systems. Some pod systems do take freebase liquid. So again, you have to match your liquid to your device, but that's a general guideline. I think the biggest takeaway that you should get about e-liquids is, even more so than the type of device, start experimenting. I was a menthol smoker for many, many, many years and started off buying and trying a lot of different cool mint, menthol e-juices, and some of them were really strong, some of them were very light. And then after about a year, I started adding the fruit flavors into it. And now kind of I've come full circle, which is I actually mix different e-juices together. So I will take a grape flavored e-juice and add a little bit of cool menthol into it. And that is, for me, the most satisfying. So, again, personal preference. Start checking them out. The links to some of the review sites are in the description box below. So I encourage you to go out, experiment, and have a lot of fun with it. In our next and final video of this series, we're going to be talking and giving you some initial guidelines to stop smoking, start vaping, and staying healthier. So we'll see you on the next video. You found this video of value. And if so, please don't forget to like this video, as well as subscribe to our channel and click on the notifications icon so that you'll know when new videos are available. We would love to get your feedback, so please leave your comments down below and feel free to post any questions so that we can address them for you.